Welcome back to Disturbed Archives. This is File 001, Granger Taylor. Tonight we examine the life and disappearance of a man who claimed to be leaving Earth, and may have done exactly that. Granger Ormond Taylor was born on October 7th, 1948, in Duncan, a small logging and farming town on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. He was adopted at a young age by Grace and Jim Taylor, who raised him on their property just outside of town. Granger attended Duncan Elementary and later Cowichan Secondary School, but by the 8th grade, he dropped out. Not because he lacked intelligence, but because the classroom couldn't hold his mind. Even as a teenager, he had a gift. He taught himself how to fix engines, restore heavy machinery, and bring old, forgotten machines back to life. People around Duncan started to notice. Granger wasn't just skilled, he was extraordinary. He rebuilt an abandoned bulldozer by age 14. Shortly after, he restored a derelict World War II airplane, and it actually flew. He worked for local logging companies and farmers, but never held a long-term job. He didn't want to clock in, he just wanted to build. Granger was known for being quiet, polite, and a little unusual. He didn't drink, didn't party, didn't date. He spent most of his time alone, in his workshop behind his parents' house, surrounded by tools, engines, and a mind that rarely rested. The late 1970s, his attention turned to something else entirely: outer space. He became fixated on the idea of extraterrestrial life, not as fantasy, but as fact. He spent long hours reading books about aliens, space travel, and interstellar physics. He told friends that he believed intelligent life from beyond Earth had already made contact, and he claimed that he was chosen. According to those close to him, Granger believed he was receiving instructions, not through sound, but through thoughts. He said they spoke to him, telepathically. By the late 1970s, Granger Taylor's interests began to change. He had mastered machines on Earth, but now he was looking up. He became deeply obsessed with outer space and the possibility of life beyond it. Granger built a small room in the woods, using 2 old satellite dishes and sheet metal. To some, it looked like a strange shack. To him, it was a spaceship. He called it his spaceship room. It was quiet, secluded. He would go there for hours, sometimes entire nights, to read, think, and wait. What he told a few close friends would unsettle them for years to come. He claimed he was in communication with extraterrestrial beings, not by radio, not through visions, but through thoughts, a kind of telepathic connection. And according to him, they were preparing to take him somewhere. He said they had chosen him for a mission, a journey, an interstellar voyage. People around him noticed the shift. He still worked on machines, but the focus was different. He spoke more about the stars, about technology humanity hadn't yet discovered, and about leaving the planet. Granger even began drawing blueprints, not for engines or tractors, but for propulsion systems he claimed were beyond current physics. One friend later described his notes as strangely technical, but completely disconnected from any known science. Still, no one thought he was dangerous or delusional. He was quiet, polite, never threatening, just different. And then came the note. On November 29, 1980, Granger Taylor vanished. That night, a powerful storm hit Vancouver Island. Rain. Winds up to 120 kilometers per hour. Roads were closed. Power lines were down. But sometime during that storm, Granger got into his truck and drove off. He left no goodbye, no destination, only a note. 2 notes, actually, handwritten and found in his bedroom. One was addressed to his parents. It read, "I have gone away to walk aboard an alien spaceship as reassured by the aliens for the 42-month interstellar voyage to explore the vast universe, then return." The second note left instructions for his belongings. Which friend would get his tools, his equipment, and his savings. It ended with, "We will not be back. I am leaving behind all my possessions to you." He signed both letters simply, "Love, Granger." His parents were devastated, but not surprised. They had seen him become increasingly obsessed with space, with contact, and with the idea that he no longer belonged on Earth. For weeks, search teams combed the island. Helicopters flew over logging roads and back trails. Police questioned everyone who had seen him last. Nothing. No truck. No body. No sign of where he had gone. It was as if Granger Taylor had simply vanished. And for 6 years, that's exactly what people believed. YAML copy edit. In 1986, 6 years after his disappearance, something changed. Deep in the forest, off an old logging road near Mount Prevost, a group of forestry workers discovered the remains of a pickup truck. It had been blown apart, shrapnel scattered across the clearing. The engine had been split open. Pieces of the cab were burned and rusted. The truck was the same make and model as Granger Taylor's. Near the wreckage, investigators found bone fragments. Small, partial, badly damaged. Too damaged to confirm identity. At the time, DNA testing wasn't an option. There were no dental records on file. The bones were assumed to be Granger's, but never definitively proven. There was no suicide note, no fuel residue to explain the blast, and no sign of how the explosion had started. All that was left was ash, twisted metal, and silence. To this day, there is no confirmed cause of death, and no explanation for what happened that night. Some believe Granger took his own life, using dynamite, which he had access to on the farm, that he drove into the woods during the storm and ended it alone, far from everything. Others think the explosion was an accident, the result of grief, isolation, and unstable materials. But some believe something else, that the remains were not his, that the truck was staged, and that Granger really did go somewhere else, that he walked away from his life and boarded something not built on this planet. He said they would return in 42 months. They never did. Or maybe they were never supposed to. Thank you guys for watching. File 001, Granger Taylor. If you found this case unsettling, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to see it. If you've heard whispers about what really happened, drop it in the comments below. More files are coming. Subscribe to stay inside the archive. Until next time, stay disturbed.